sometimes people will cling on to things that they've outgrown or relationships or situations that need to end, like their time has come to an end. It's time for these things to fall away, but because they're familiar and create a feeling of security or safety, people can sometimes refuse to let go.
Hello and welcome to the True Northing podcast with Kristen and Allison. We are going out on a little whim here. I'm going to draw an archetype card. This is the deck. It's called Archetypes Deck and Guidebook by The Wild Unknown, authored and I believe illustrated by Kim Kranz. And she has a number of different decks that she's made, and they're all beautiful and unique from one another. I haven't drawn a card in a long time, so we'll see what happens. The way that I draw cards is, yes, sometimes I first shuffle and I just kind of get the cards moving, and I'll feel into a question I have or just this kind of message of or openness of receiving whatever message is meant for me. So, and then I will split them into 3 piles and then just intuitively feel which card goes on top, and either I'll lay them out or choose the top card. So right now I'm choosing the top card. Okay. It's the storm. So why don't I read about this for us? I didn't have a question. I just kind of went in with an openness for this episode. So let's see what comes up. Okay, the storm, the chaos, the whirlwind, the disorder. Possessing an energy much like the Tarot's Tower card, the storm undoes all that is. Everything that was solid, known, and relied upon is stripped away by the winds of fate. The ground becomes the sky becomes the center, and then the center disappears. The storm is a great equalizer. No matter how far we've come on the path, no matter our age, wealth, or wisdom, we can't hide from its savage winds. Their disturbing howls stir anxiety and make it impossible to see and think straight. You must wait it out. If you try to fight the storm, you will lose. A better option is to seek temporary shelter in a reliable friend. When all else fails, go within. There, for a moment, you settle into the eye of the storm. So it has a light and a dark aspect on it. It says, when light, meaningful obliteration and annihilation. When dark, meaningless disorder and dysfunction.
Annihilation?
Yeah, annihilation. So like annihilation, I think of like self-annihilation, like ego death, kind of like annihilation.
Yeah, death.
Yeah, death.
So say that again.
Yeah, the light is meaningful obliteration. So probably like anything that's not healthy is getting like destroyed.
Yes.
Anything that's in the way of you and your destiny or your soul's path is getting destroyed. And then when dark, it's meaningless. So it's just chaotic destruction and dysfunction and disorder. Right. And then it says, go deeper, the tornado scene in The Wizard of Oz. And then it says a quote here, the storm lays bare the truth that there are forces larger than you. This understanding is a relief, but also a predicament of power that requires your surrender. The storm's intention is to rebalance your equilibrium. It is a result of precarious conditions. not the cause of them. Hmm. Of precarious conditions, not the cause of them. Mhm. It's interesting because if I'm looking at its connection to my own life, I can feel both the light and the dark. I can feel that a lot is come up to be witnessed, seen, reorganized, disposed of, like, l destroyed. And then I can also see where I'm in a bit of not needed disorder. Like, there's just some, yeah, things that feel more chaotic in my mind or my life than maybe need to be.
You there's certain things you don't feel like you have a handle on or a steadiness with. I wonder I
Yeah.
well, I'm so what I was thinking about is when we're in the storm and the intentional letting go or dying, killing off of whatever is not working.
Mhm.
With that, there can be a feeling of unsteadiness, like an inner storm or chaos,
Mm.
kind of like, the ground has been, not the ground, the rug has been pulled out,
Mhm. Mhm.
which can be a good thing. I've outgrown the rug, but at the same time, I'm feeling out of balance because of all the change.
Yeah. Right. So even if in the bigger picture it's creating more order or it's releasing what no longer needs, when you're in the storm, you're in the storm,
Mhm.
still feeling disorienting or chaotic or where's my ground here?
Yeah, if you're not intentionally finding your ground or holding on to yourself.
And I think even if you are holding on to yourself, you could still feel the magnitude and still be impacted, but just not disconnected.
We've been getting a snowstorm here in North Carolina. It did not turn out to be quite the storm that it was anticipated to be in my specific area, but they've still been, we did get some snow and some ice, and they've been canceling school. So my kids have been home, and there's been just a lot of kind of disarray, it feels like, in the last week, just like family stuff, personal things. Yeah, things falling away, things ending, chapters closing, also like schedules thrown off, routines kind of out the window, kind of chaotic, like an inner and outer storm.
Yeah, inner and outer. That's so interesting. I didn't think of the North Carolina storm. Yeah, and you guys really had it coming.
Well,
Didn't
yeah, and all the East Coast, but yes, I'm in North Carolina, and so but it's gotten way worse for other people in other states for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, right? With like the schedule and disarray and all the unexpected things too. It's not just like what we're letting go of. It's all the unexpected things that have come up as well.
So it's interesting, what I just thought of as you were speaking is sometimes people will cling on to things that they've outgrown, or relationships, or situations that need to end, like their time has come to an end. They're not in alignment, they're not serving. It's time for these things to fall away, but because they're familiar and create a feeling of security or safety, people can sometimes like refuse to let go.
Mhm.
And I wonder if that's kind of the dark.
Mm.
Um like you're not surrendering to the storm. You're not allowing for this natural annihilation to happen of
Mhm.
certain parts of
Yeah.
life. And so then it just is like this meaningless chaos.
Right. Where it says the storm lays bare the truth that there are forces larger than you. Understanding this is a relief, but also a predicament of power that requires your surrender. You are required to surrender to the storm and not cling, because clinging is not it's not going to work out anyways to cling. But then that ensues all kinds of other confusion and disorder than letting the storm do its thing and trusting in the greater power of what's happening, or the greater intelligence even.
Things can blow up even more, become even more chaotic when you're fighting against it, not allowing.
Well, it feels harder too when we resist something versus allowing it. The resistance I feel is sometimes the most painful part of it versus the thing itself. I did this experiment with a headache one time where I used to get more migraines. And when I started my natural wellness journey, one of my first experiments of not taking like over the counter medicine that I used to was with a migraine headache. And so I used to, like, when I'd feel a migraine come on, I'd take like an Aleve right away. And then I got a migraine and I had started my natural wellness journey. And I'm like, oh, wait, well, is there an alternative like that I should be doing? And I think at the time was like apple cider vinegar or something, which I don't think worked. But at some point on the journey with my migraines, what I did was, instead of being like, oh no, it's a migraine, no, it's going to be so bad, I just actually slowed down and I really let myself feel the sensation of the migraine. So I felt like the pulsing and I felt like the tension and I felt the heat. And when I really allowed myself to feel the sensations of the migraine, it wasn't pain. It certainly, I couldn't function the way that I typically would with all the sensations happening, but it was in the resistance of the migraine that made it feel more painful than just being present with what was happening and slowing down to really feel it. I don't know if that would work for other things. It certainly works in life. Um,
That makes so much sense. Yeah,
uh
resisting instead of accepting and surrendering to what is. Yeah, when we're experiencing something and then we resist it or we don't like it, you know, we and then we start kind of narrating to ourselves like, "Oh no, this is bad," and attaching this meaning, it becomes so much worse. It's like when you cut your finger and it doesn't hurt until you notice the blood
mm.
and start worrying about it, and then you start to feel the pain so much worse.
We worry about the pain that
Mhm.
we're gonna feel or that we are feeling. I mean, of course, we wouldn't it that imagining cutting my finger and then being present with the pain, I'm like, "No, I don't want to. I don't wanna slow down and feel that," and there's probably an intelligence in there somewhere. Um, but this concept of when we don't accept, when we avoid, when we turn away from, when we're angry at the outcome or what's happening, there's so much more pain.
And anxiety It comes
Mhm.
up when we believe we cannot tolerate what we're
Mm,
feeling.
yeah. Just reminds me, like, suffering. That is suffering when we're fighting with reality. As a child, I had, like, super bad migraines as a child, and the only thing that worked was to go in a dark room, no noise.
I used to get migraines as a kid too.
You did?
Yes,
My gosh, and
and
what
I
did
would
you
throw
do?
up.
You would
Like,
throw up?
yeah, it would get so bad and same, I had to, like, put my head under a blanket so I didn't get any light, um, couldn't see any light, but I would typically throw up, and then
Mm,
I would feel better.
you'd
And
feel better
I
after throwing
and
up,
I was
interest
convinced so this happened for years, and now looking back, I'm convinced that it was some kind of food sensitivity
Mhm.
and, that my parents just never thought about that, or looked into it or anything. So it just went on for years and then at some point pretty much stopped. I don't know why as I grew older, but my son around age 7 probably started getting headaches. And sometimes they appeared to be a migraine. He would start to get nauseous and feel like he was going to throw up. And it would happen it started happening once a month and too frequently where I was like, what is going on? This happened to me when I was a kid. And so I scheduled an appointment, an assessment with a naturopathic doctor, and we eliminated gluten just as an experiment because we did a food diary and she said, well, he is eating a lot of gluten. Let's eliminate that and see if it makes a difference. And it did. We eliminated gluten and his headaches pretty much stopped. It was so interesting. So then I thought, oh, I wonder if that's what was going on with me.
Interesting. Do you guys still not do gluten then?
No, we did it pretty strictly for about 6 months, as strict as we could. And then and that's what I was advised as the time frame to let these things resolve. And we were doing some other kind of holistic things to support his immune system um and after about 6 months we got more relaxed with it and I still try to avoid it for him, but it's not an issue anymore. I do notice if he has a lot of gluten, he might get a headache.
Hmm.
Yeah, but otherwise we just try to minimize it,
Mhm.
but it
Maybe
has
it's like the
improved a lot.
bucket thing, like, so much water in the bucket and then it's overflowing that
Yes.
maybe, he can tolerate a bit
Yes.
certain periods of time. Speaking of water, I didn't really drink water as a kid. Did you?
Same. No.
What was up with that? Like, we didn't have water bottles, did we? Like, for me, it was like juice or milk or nothing. Soda? Like, I don't remember drinking water.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
You didn't? Yeah.
It's like, ew, I don't want water.
Yeah, why would I drink water when I could have, like, a Mountain Dew
Yeah.
or
Water
grape
doesn't taste
juice?
good.
Well, that's something I've certainly reflected on of like, well, I wasn't drinking water. But I think I also got really overstimulated. Like, I think about, like, a day at school in the recess yard, no water, like, in the sun, kids screaming, like, just so much sensory input, possibly as well. Maybe a combination of things, of, like, diet, no water, for stimulation. That would certainly give me a migraine these days.
Yes, that makes sense. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so days like today or weeks like this, well, I'd say it's especially today. I just it's like a Starbucks kind of day. I don't normally drink espresso or coffee. I'm a matcha person, but I've had 2 matchas, and the second one in the afternoon has a shot of espresso, and I'm noticing that that gives me a nice little zing, which my blood sugar doesn't appreciate, but my mood really does. And I put on a song that I'm feeling and have to get outside for a walk. Those are my go-tos, just to be able to not get lost in the chaos, not feel like it's suffering, just to kind of bring a little bit of joy or levity to a very chaotic, stormy time.
Mm. So finding the things that anchor you or
Yes.
that are like essential core components of weathering the storm.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that for myself, I'm finding the need for that as well. Of like, okay, what are my anchors? How do I stay in this body, thriving in this body as so much is moving and swirling around me? And noticing the need to be an anchor to allow other things to move as well. Needing to be an anchor, needing to anchor into myself. And not needing in like a grasping way, but needing in like a connected way of like connected to me regardless of what's coming up and what's going.
The anchor makes sense to me, needing to be an anchor, especially
Mm,
if you're in motherhood.
yeah.
That's how I'm like, okay, yeah, there's chaos.
Yeah.
There's no routine. We're all together. We're all just trying to take it day by day, and someone's got to be anchored,
Mm,
right? And mom sets the tone. I feel like sets the thermostat for the whole house. Like if I can access my own anchor, then I become an anchor for everybody else, and then we can go with the flow and maybe find something to laugh about and just make the most of a chaotic situation.
mhm. Mhm. That statement of mom sets the tone for the whole house. So true, so good. Mom needs nurturance. And these studies coming out showing that, like, the mother being happy and healthy is the most important aspect for a child than anything else. Like, it's not what was it? I'm just thinking of this exact study that was done, but essentially, children's health and well-being is dependent on the mother's happiness,
Your support system.
the mother's support system. Well, that's what this speaks to of like mother health is everyone's health. And yes, we do that for ourselves, right? We find our anchors, but ultimately should be like a whole network and village, not just women holding themselves, but like a whole team around us supporting. What would society be like then? Mothers, women at the center. Wow.
I was thinking about that. Actually, I was talking about it to someone, I think it was yesterday. Just the desire to be able to support other women, other mothers that I'm connected to more. I was recognizing this feeling like I wanted to show up as a support to somebody in need. but I couldn't until I did some basic things for myself. It was like I was there physically, but I was like, this does not feel good. This feels incredibly taxing. And so I had to get myself out for a walk and do a short, like 20-minute workout. And I felt immediately better and was like, okay, now I can pour into you. But before I did those basic things for myself, I could not pour into you.
I feel this like natural desire to give and to nurture and to share and to like, yeah, show up for others and show up for life. And yet don't always feel resourced enough to do that. Or I'm like, oh, I'm so depleted or I haven't been poured into that I can't do those things. And so yeah, I hear you. And I'm glad that you did that because I think sometimes I know personally I can struggle with that when there's like an immediate need of someone else. I'm like, oh, that comes first. But then in the long run, I can end up, yeah, overdoing it or depleted. And so those little moments, like you said, 20-minute workout or walk or a cup of tea, these little things to be like, okay, I'm orienting to fill my own cup so I can show up here for you, help everyone else weather the storms.
So maybe a reflection question or two or three for the listeners would be, what storm are you weathering right now? What is intentionally or by design being obliterated or annihilated in your life? What might you be clinging to that is trying to fall away in your life? And what do you do during a storm or chaos to maintain your footing, to stay grounded and connected to yourself?
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in with us today. And please like and subscribe and follow along. We'll see you next week.